I F35 love the booger, but my goodness. Last week, she got out of the backyard while I was busy cooking my BF's dinner for his birthday. My boyfriend Mike 40 male, let the dog out during this time and didn't stay out with the digging asshole. When I went to call her back in, she was nowhere to be found. I live in an active city on an active road and I naturally was worried about her, but my BF she said should fine, as we are well known in the neighborhood for our clockwork walks and someone will see her and bring her back. I went out to look for her anyway but couldn't find her. I didn't find her for 48 hours and I was crying from the stress. She's been my dog for 7 years and I know it sounds odd to some, but she's my girl, my bestie, and love the shit out of her. I would sob worrying she was injured or worse on the side of the road. BF said he tried to track the microchip but it for some reason wouldn't work and her leash had a tag on it with her location, but BF didn't put it on her because, as he explained, she was just going outside. I have a new neighbor, a F30 something Josie, and turned out she had my dog. She found her tagless wandering her yard 3 doors down from me and didn't know her or me at all, so took her to the local vet who recognized my girl, and called me. So my little shit was returned to me. I was overjoyed and was thanking Josie profusely, explaining how worried I was, and my BF audibly sighed from behind me and said, well, thank fuck that's over. She ruined my birthday with that stunt. When Josie saw him she looked confused but didn't say anything until I walked her out. She told me, you might not believe me, but he told me last night that you don't have pets. I was confused by this and kind of didn't believe her, but it nagged at me, so I checked our doorbell cam footage and there it was clear as day. While I was out looking for my dog, Josie is showing him a photo and asking if he knew this dog, and he said no, that we don't have dogs, and suggested calling animal control. I woke my BF up as he was asleep by this point on the couch and questioned him about this, and he denied it, saying Josie is trying to stir up trouble. I have my dog, so things go back to normal now. And he slipped in that he deserves a makeup day for his ruined birthday. When I told him about the footage, I could see him get really still and then he admitted to it. He said my dog is old, she's 8, so he was trying to spare me since she will probably die soon and he wants us to think about the future, not the past, and my dog is indicative of my past. I told him this made 0 sense to me. He saw me damn near fall apart worried about my dog, and now I can't so much as trust he didn't have anything more to do with her disappearing. He lost it at that, saying he just knew I would find a way to blame him for this, and shouted, you love that bitch more than you love me. I told him that he's the bitch and a coward for lying and not being honest about clearly not liking my dog for the past year. Then I asked him to leave. He stared at me like, you're really going to kick me out right now over a dog? And I said absolutely, and he cussed me out and went to his place. I haven't read the texts he's been sending me, but it's been a lot of them. He's been gone 7 hours and I have 27 text notifications from him. He's talked to my brother, Blair, who called me to tell me I hurt Mike for caring more about an animal than him and not being able to just shut the fuck up, be an adult, and celebrate my BF's birthday. I'm confused because we've been together a bit over a year and I spoiled the shit out of him. We met because of my dog, and he seemed to really adore her this entire time. My brother, though, doesn't much like me these days, so I can't really tell if he's right and I'm the or he and Mike are just an Oz. So Ada? Update 1. After my post, my BF showed up at my door the next day with flowers and dog treats. I didn't let him in but talked through my screen door. He said he had time to think and was ashamed of his behavior and very sorry. He explained that he had abandonment issues and got scared when a friend put the idea in his head that I love my dog more than him. The friend, turns out, is my brother Blair. I told him I wasn't ready to deal with him yet and he asked why not, and I explained from my perspective everything sort of like my last post, and then added that he shows up without letting me know he was coming and he didn't let me even speak, just launched into this grand apology. When I said I don't trust him right now, he started crying, and I mean the ugly hysterical kind. He said this stemmed from his mother leaving the family. From what I know of the story, she walked out on him and his family when he was 13, and that I am his person and he loves me and just lost his mind a little. It's one mistake, I'm sorry. He kept saying it over and over, and maybe I am a broken person, but I didn't feel anything in the moment. I watched him crying and saying sorry and basically groveling, and I just wasn't having any of it. I said we need to talk, but I wasn't ready to have that talk at the moment and need space. He begged me to let him in and only left when some neighbors came by to ask if everything was okay, and he just snapped and told them to fuck off and left. Not sure what I am even doing anymore or what I will do with him or my brother. For now I am just sitting on a local restaurant patio with my doggo sipping margaritas and trying not to cry. WTF. Update 2. Hi. It's your super messy friend with her super dick ex, not super dick in the fun sense. I don't much want to get into it but kinda need to vent to, and some of you / most of you have been really helpful / insightful / kind. So Mike has been weaving the narrative that I am mentally ill. He knows I suffer from depression and PTSD, and for whatever reason he is saying I was / am a misdiagnosed schizophrenic. It was relentless. And Blair and Dad have been backing him. It got to the point that I had had enough and hired a lawyer. Cease and desists, and 1 retraining order. My father is such a psycho, long story, later, and Mike is back on my doorstep. He is now demanding that Booger is his dog too, and he has rights to her, and he is worried about her safety with such a mentally unstable parent, me, it seems. So I said, oh, did I mention this is all through the Dorcam? That I now have footage, again, Of him being the unstable one and his weird manipulative threat on top of me having actual footage of him saying he doesn't even have a pet would debunk him. I don't know all of what happened because feed cut out, but it looks like the man lost his fucking mind and dismantled my Ring cam. At least without my other cameras he did not know were then installed showing him doing so. Good thing I have a lawyer. Update 3. This is gonna be long because I am so fucking livid. TLDR, Mike is making breaking up utter hell and stole my dog. Now, I've had to move for my and my dog's safety. Has it even been 2 weeks? But now this. A single fucking day after my last post, I was packing up for an impromptu trip Arya was taking me on partly to help me relax and partly to get me the hell out of that damn house so my father, brother, and ex would not know where I was. As such, I got Booger to the groomers. We planned to be away a while and she was due anyway. I thought I was being a responsible dog mom. And I'm an idiot because I was so frazzled about everything else, I completely forgot to tell them that Mike is not permitted anymore to pick her up. So I go to run errands while Booger got her spa treatments. Don't you dare judge me, she deserves a spa treatment every once in a while. Being a couch potato is stressful grueling work, you know, and when I return I am told by the front desk that your husband pie her up. I swear to you my voice simply stopped existing. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. I just crumpled to the ground and sobbed. He knew the groomer, knew the staff, he would sometimes pick her up for me back when we were together and I didn't protect my baby by preempting this. How could I have been so fucking stupid? His life mission is getting rid of her. It should have been one of the first things I did. I removed him everywhere else, and I don't know I missed this. The staff had come around the desk to help me to a chair and I just wailed. I think I managed to say enough. The police were called and I could barely speak even to them. They asked if there was someone I could call. Any family, and I cried more. I have no one. If anything my father and maybe brother would help Mike do this. I managed to think and call Arya and she was on her way, but it was then I looked at my phone. He had texted me. The fucker actually texted me. Starting with hi, baby, as if everything that happened in all this time was absolutely non-existent. He said not to worry. He is Booger as he picked her up for you. And he is cooking us dinner at his and I can pick her up after dinner. Then he ended it with love you. It was so unfucking believable I could only just show the cops. One of them asked if they can look through my chat history and I said yes and unlocked all the features and she did. I had forgotten all the abusive, manipulative, and awful things that moron texted me because the cop just pulled a colleague aside and showed him the screen a few times. I saw him look back at me a couple times and he left the building. When he returned he asked me if I had called the police about Mike before and I said yes. He went through all the times I called in and I confirmed and told him some of it verbally then. Arya arrived and she gave her own rendition of the situation and stuck it to them that we did everything we were supposed to do by calling them about this and we were told they would not help. If Booger is hurt she will raise an unholy inferno over their useless department. She started to take charge in the absence of my ability to and asked what they planned to do. They needed paperwork. Booger's papers are all in my name and the groomer is attached to the vet who provided the adoption and intake paperwork of Booger which proved I was her sole owner legally. THR police went to his home to get Booger and what I understand to have happened, because I was not there and was only told the official story, Mike let them in, showed the dinner he made. He seemed confused and didn't understand why the police were involved. He made it out that we had a bad spat but we're working it out, but I am mentally unstable and heavily medicated and I told him of the groomer's appointment and asked him to pick my dog up. They asked where Booger was and he said he didn't have her anymore as my family picked her up so that he and I can have a private intimate night to make up and work on our relationship. I was home waiting and I had to deal with another cop coming by and asking me about my mental health and if I am a danger to myself or anyone because Mike said that he is concerned that I am unpredictable and abusive. Once again I showed the texts and some footage of it being the polar opposite and once again I explained that all of what I was showing him and more I've already turned over to the police. By now, I had reached my lawyer who advised I answer any and all questions pertaining to this specific situation, getting my dog back, and nothing more, so I shut up and simply provided info necessary to this. They found Booger at Blair's but now Blair had his own story. That I was mentally unstable and unable to care for her, so I asked him to take Booger to a shelter as I didn't have the heart to do it myself. He couldn't provide any proof, so they took Booger with them and brought her home. Booger came for me immediately, straining against T. He leashed to get to me and I cried on my front step apologizing to her as if she understood what all just happened. But she was happy and excited. I bet she loved being in a cop cruiser. She just was happy to be alive per usual. The policewoman who handed me her leash gave us information on where to get the paperwork about today's events and said she cannot offer me legal advice but to be sure to lock everything up tonight and to call if anything happens. I did take Booger to the vet and the tests that have come back show she is perfectly fine. I've now packed up the majority of my house and what is not in storage has been moved to Arya's. I am working on preparing to sell it. I can't even imagine going back to that damn place. Mike left me a voicemail lamenting that I sicked the police on him when all he ever tried to do was love me. How patient he has been with my mental illness and my obsession with my mutt. But he now is seeing that my father was right. I don't deserve him. I will never find anyone like him who will love me because I don't deserve love. And when I realize what I've lost all due to my self-centered attitude, I better hope he hasn't moved on. But he's there if I ever decided to grow up and be a real woman and try to fix this with him. But he's not going to wait around forever. An emergency protective order was pushed through, thanks to my lawyer. From Mike and Blair. Blair was stupid enough to blow up my phone after the police took Booger to berate me. I don't know what he said as I just forwarded everything to my lawyer, but either apparently was enough. My father lost it, I'm told, but I wouldn't know. He doesn't know where I am and has no way to reach me now. Mike is trying to reverse my domestic abuse complaints and say I am the one abusing him, and that's why he fled to his place. He maintains that I asked him to take Booger and Blair is backing him up. My lawyer says not to worry because no one is taking the claim seriously since we have much overwhelming documentation of both of them harassing me. I've been at Aria's and we're taking the trip tomorrow. Booger is a road dog and loves car rides, so I know she will be very excited. The city we are going to is incredibly dog friendly, so she will be with us every step of the way. I'm not letting her out of my sight. Aria helped me go through every bit of info and make sure Mike is removed off everything now. All Booger's appointments, all my medical paperwork, all package sign-offs, you name it. All mail and packages are being rerouted to Aria's and Mike doesn't know where that is. She has another home she rents out as an Airbnb, so once the current tenants are out, she is setting me up to stay there until I find a new job out of town and move. I'm just glad to have her with me right now because I haven't been able to sleep. I have barely been able to even be around food, let alone eat it. Booger was gone for maybe a total of 5 hours as a whole, but I swear to God it was like a lifetime. I've set virtual appointments with my counseling team and might need to get something to help me sleep. But last night Booger lopped up into the bed with me and just plopped down and snuggled beside me. I think she knows I am stressed and the only clear cure is cuddles. She's not entirely wrong. My mind is racing because what would have happened if I didn't already have a lawyer pushing the return of my dog along, or Aria who was speaking up for me when I was a useless fucking blob pee on the floor crying and accomplishing absolutely nothing. I feel like a failure because it was the time for me to get things done and all I did was cry like a child. Booger deserves better than me. What if he had decided in those hours to just get rid of her or do worse to her? What was his whole plan? And why the fuck would Blair help him? I know he hates me, but Jesus Christ. All I know for now, if I'm NC with all three of those bastards and by the time my protective order is up for review next month, new job or no, I will have yanked every root I placed down here and get the fuck out of here. Now on to second story. College fling became my co-parent nightmare, after I kept our unplanned child despite refusing marriage, leaving me trapped in guilt and regret. I'm 27 and I've had a weird situation with a guy I went to college with. Let's call him Mark. We were both young and not ready for a relationship. Then I got pregnant. I told Mark about it since I wanted to discuss our options. Abortion, adoption, or even giving him custody if he wanted to. I never wanted kids, so I'd be fine with any compromise. However, Mark didn't take it well. I remember him insisting we could make it work, especially since we were both in our last year old college. He wanted to get married and for us to be a family. I refused. He got his family involved. They called and texted me all the time, even showing up at my part-time job. I know I have no one to blame but myself, but I gave up. I had too many things going on at that time, like the loss of my mother, the stress with the rest of the family, and some stuff going on with my best friend that I won't get into. I remember feeling horrible, but I relented and agreed to keep the baby, although I still refused to get married to Mark. Now we have a 5-year-old daughter together. I'm a mess. I never wanted kids, and although I'm trying, I can't feel any motherly love for her. What makes it worse is that she's genuinely a good kid. She doesn't throw much tantrums, she's always kind, and she doesn't expect much. I feel guilty for hating her. I feel bad all the time. I only get to have her on the weekends and Mark has her every other day, but that doesn't make me feel better. She talks about wanting to see me and her dad together, but I just can't. I screamed at her once when she drew a little picture of me and Mark holding hands. I apologized after, but I still felt so guilty. I don't know what I'm doing. I just needed to write everything down and get it off my chest. I know I'm a bad mother, I know it. But I don't know how to be better. I don't even know if I want to be better. I just want to give up my parental rights, but even the thought makes me feel even worse. I'm stuck in a hell of my own making. I know I should have fought harder and probably just abort her. Damn me for being weak, I guess. Update 1. I'll call my daughter Abby for the sake of this post. I ended up telling Mark about my desire to change the custody arrangement and maybe even removing my parental rights. Many people here agreed that it's the best choice, both for me and for Abby. He didn't take it well and actually texted me about it through the week. He insisted we could work out whatever was bothering me. We agreed a while ago that texting is okay, but calls are for emergencies only. So when he called me on Friday evening and pleaded with me to come see Abby, I agreed. This is what I really need to talk about. I've seen Abby cry before, but this was something else. She had a complete meltdown, screaming and crying once I got there. She just clung to my leg and screamed at me not to leave her. Why did I want to leave her? What did she do wrong? I cried. I was honestly horrified with how badly she reacted. Mark's mom ended up telling Abby that I was planning on leaving her and she's not going to go to my house this weekend. I had to take Abby to my place sooner than expected and Mark actually spent the night over as well. He said he's too concerned with Abby and with me to leave us alone. I'm completely lost. Even with the way I said that I want to give up my parental rights, I just can't do it now. The image of Abby crying and pleading with me not to leave is just stuck in my mind. I feel hopeless about the entire situation. Currently, I'm laying with Abby on the couch and she's watching TV. She hasn't really left my side since yesterday. I'm used to her pointing at the TV while talking about her favorite characters of whatever cartoon is on. Right now, she's just laying by my side and staying quiet. I can hear Mark moving around in the kitchen. He called in sick to work and said he's staying here for the weekend. I have no idea what to do. And I'm sorry, but I no longer want to leave Abby, that's not an option anymore. Edit, I'd just like to edit and ask for some suggestions about online therapy. What sites do I look for that I'm sure will help me and don't cost too much? Mark is already looking into therapists for Abby in the area, but I'd like to ask for some individual therapy I could attend online. Maybe even suggestions for child therapists online in case Mark doesn't find anyone. Update 2. I'm not sure if people are still interested in what's going on here, but here goes. Writing everything down helps me keep track of things and I also want to hear people's thoughts. For anyone wondering how Abby is doing, she seems to be doing okay. She's still a little clingy with me, but she's back to her happy self. We've been observing her behavior closely and Mark decided that a therapist isn't needed. I'm not sure I agree with that, but Abby really does seem to be feeling alright. And for anyone wondering about Mark's mom, she's had no contact with Abby since what happened, though Mark has been talking with her. I've been trying to read all the comments people left on my last posts. What was written about Mark got me thinking. I haven't actually mentioned it before since I didn't think it was important, but back in college we were both using protection with me also being on birth control. I do believe the pregnancy was a genuine accident, though I became a bit paranoid after some of the things people wrote. Mark has dated some girls for the past few years as far as I'm aware. We haven't had too much contact though. We would mostly talk about Abby when we did text. Still, the past month had been more than weird for me. We've been talking more. He apologized to me a lot. I can't tell if those apologies were real or not. My best friend told me to keep Mark at arm's length, but it's been hard to do that with him coming over more often on the weekends to spend time with Abby and me. He's been inviting me to his home too and I went a few times when Abby really begged me to. I'm trying to make sense of the situation, but it's hard. I'll be having my first therapy session tomorrow, so there's that too. Online. I guess I'm hoping for some help in the comments? I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I'll try to answer any questions people might have for me. I know this post is probably kind of a mess. I've come to the realization that it's pretty much always been a huge problem that I have. For now I'm just trying to figure things out. I don't want a relationship with Mark. I feel uncomfortable around him and I've been trying to set some boundaries between us for the past few weeks, but he keeps crossing them by inviting himself into my home. And thank you for the kind words, I'm trying to check up on Abby as much as I can. It's actually some of the harsher comments that I got that made me think back on some things. I won't go into details as to why, but I've always been a pushover. I'm trying to set boundaries, but everyone keeps crossing them and I don't have the energy to deal with all of that most of the time. It doesn't excuse me, but I'm hoping that therapy might help me become a bit better. And about changing my mind, I can't really explain it. It's hard and I don't feel entirely comfortable, but I don't want to leave Abby behind. I can't put my feelings about it into words.